agenda, just call this carry over the same way.
Certainly. So, Klaus,
Sure.
I'm curious, what is on the agenda in terms of?
We got two items to carry over from 5 o'clock. What we want to do. That's it. No action.
There's no action on the,
Right, unless if there's something else left over from that site plan to the question, if not, they go home. They don't want to stay here. Do you?
I do, I like to stay all night if we need to, yeah.
Oh, I don't have all that.
no,
No, I hear what you're saying. I'm not trying to belabor it.
Russ, you're live.
Pardon?
You're live.
I know. Whose clock do you want me to follow? Hi. I see what you're saying. I thought your mic was live. I thought the mic was live.
That is too.
But now I see that's live. Now I understand. Before we start, if you have not signed in, registered or signed in or whatever, if you would on the yellow pad of paper, just try to follow contact tracing from COVID regulations. Are we supposed to sign in? Pardon? Are we supposed to sign in? Yep. You sign in on your way out. I know you're here. I'm going to get through.
Yeah.
Get on the way out. Yeah. And without asking everybody individually, I assume nobody's been exposed, nobody's left the New England states and all the other. You're not sick, coughing, hacking, having fever, or anything else coming through. Otherwise, I have to get Eleanor out with the thermometer. Okay, I hit 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the I was at planning board meeting for the month of April order. First item of business, as we have been doing previously, is to uncover and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Flag is to the right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to take a roll call starting at my left to make sure we have a quorum.
Ken Wexler,
Dale Martin, Russ Wolf, Chair, Mark McNeil. Board is complete. 5 members, all full members. Next on the agenda, or the items I'm trying to follow with, would be studying the agenda. Are there any other additional items to come before us? There is carried in there insert for the beginning of the meeting, and we just spent about 45 minutes at the airport, so it's more informational, no action. There's questions. Anything else that board members wish to add? Seeing none, then the agenda is set, and I would remind everyone to turn the phones off. And Bill or Jeremy, who would like to address this? Just public knowledge or whatever. We met. You were very gracious host over there to see what the phase 1 project was. And, you know, if you have 5 minutes, share it with us, and we'll be happy.
Great. I can provide a brief overview. Thank you.
I'll say again, you couldn't have picked a better evening for it.
Yeah.
You can take it.
Okay. So everybody can see it, I guess. Yeah, we just had a site walk of the proposed hangar taxi lane phase 1 of the terminal, not terminal, but hangar development project. And I guess I think it was a good opportunity for everybody to kind of see, you could see where the site was, for one thing. The airport terminal building is here, the town office is right over here, so you come right out in front of the terminal. And the site was, the turf area, just to the south of the terminal apron. And one of the things we did in advance of the meeting, with the airport's help, we staked out the site. Okay, so again, the airport terminal building is over here. North is somewhat up the sheet. So this is the turf area just to the south, and there's some wooded areas and the beginning of the wetlands over here. And what we had done is staked out all the building corners where these hangars are going to be located. These are proposed to be 80 by 80 hangars. These two are proposed to be 70 by 70. And then there's 4 over here that are proposed to be 60 by 60. And there's a 35-foot wide hangar taxi lane that is proposed to be constructed with FAA funding. The FAA has issued a grant for this project, and that goes right down the center of the site. There's a little patch of woods over in here. The leach field for the airport terminal is over here, and there's kind of a fill area here, which is surrounded by some trees. And again, the wetlands encroach here and here right up to the kind of the toe slope of the old filled area. So everybody kind of got a good look at the site. You can kind of see the site grades. Everything kind of works its way. Down here, elevations up in this area are around 58. Floor elevation of this building would be 58. This is about 57.8. All the contours, you can see everything drains down in this direction. There's naturally a low spot down here. This is a little bit of a detention pond / soil filter. The stormwater drains into this soil filter. It filters down through a soil media. There's existing catch basins down in the ditch, and you can see where that low spot was. The water's all going to end up going back into there, and then it drains right under the apron through all the storm drains. And there's 2 shut-off valves between this location and where outlets to the north. Nothing really drains from the developed area down into the wetlands in the proposed condition. There's a little shallow ditch that comes down the back and drains into here. So basically, you can see where the forested wetland area is and how the whole site lays out. There's an existing pavement that comes right down through here, where an old T hangar development used to exist. And we were trying to guess when those came out. Bill probably remembers, because he was probably responsible for it.
15 years now.
Yeah. So that's in a nutshell. Do you have anything to add, Greg or Jeremy?
I think I would just like to get everybody's, input, or if there's an existing commercial zone there, and I know we're not planning on taking any action tonight, but I would possibly ask to be on the agenda for next month to consider approving the project in the commercial zone that is already identified on the town shoreline zoning map. We know those changes are potentially on the horizon to remove that erroneous site from that map, but there is an existing commercial zone there that gives you the authority. I'm not aware, but I would think it would give you the authority to approve that commercial development in that spot. So I guess, is there a path forward that way or not?
Any other questions from the board?
Well, I do have a question. With the wetlands sitting, every time, in the previous, no, every time, previously when hangar construction has come before us. The question has arisen, what about a spill inside the hangar? And there's never been any provision for it, except maybe not in terms of any traps, where collect and get safely treated, and et cetera, other than a little draining to the middle. But now you've got water right up behind it. Even there's no argument, there's wetlands out there. Do you think we could get some, I mean, I understand there's no action being taken yet. You could put some kind of requirement on the people who come in to build the hangars that they gotta have an adequate waste spill protection system. Is that
It's something,
unreasonable?
the airport, the new terminal hangar is designed that way. And I believe the new hangar that you approved at the Flying Club was also planned for that same.
Yeah, the Joe hangar and the hangar before that were all, approved that way.
They were approved sloping into the middle.
Everything is internal.
Yes, I agree,
Nothing can leave the building.
and I don't think that was the answer. But you didn't have a wetland right up behind you. Look at it, smooth as can be. Are we concerned about a spill perhaps getting in out to the wetland?
I hear what you're saying, but I think it's getting into a conversation more appropriate.
Okay. But they did put a small ditch. I guess the answer, there's a ditch line that runs on the back of those hangars to prevent any possible, nothing,
Yeah.
I guess it goes in the ground,
The grades up here are, in the order of 59.5 down to 58. The building elevations are 57, 56, 55. So this is actually a slope down away from the wetlands. There's a bank here, and then there's a ditch in behind. You have certain slopes, maximum slopes are fairly flat for aircraft, as you know. And we've got an existing taxiway that we're tying into down here. So it keeps the grades down a little bit. So the water actually drains towards the hangar and down that way. So
but the new terminal
none
hangar,
of the doors would have, they're all out of the front. So-
in the new terminal hangar, are we catching a large volume of potential,
Yes,
and that's in its own special system?
yes.
So
Basically.
it's
So
possible.
If a plane had 100 gallons of fuel in it,
Yep.
that'll hold 100
Correct.
gallons or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Russ is correct, and this is item before, so
I'm sorry.
I agree, shouldn't be.
No, I mean, conversations
No,
has merit, I just don't think.
no,
appropriate
it's
tonight.
inappropriate,
Too deep into it, essence of time and also preparation.
I walk back my comment.
I'm kind of like, I was glad to see the site get there, yes, sir.
I might just ask a quick question of the gentleman. Are you gonna have your DEP permits in hand when you come to the planning board on the next agenda? Along with your drawings?
Yep, we certainly do. The DEP permits are already in hand.
You'll need that to be able to do the review.
Okay.
What is the actual resource that they're supposed to be protecting? I mean, 'cause
We walked it.
we were told years ago that Alsed really had no special resource protection in this town. They even counted the big beaver dam up behind Jeff Weatherby's.
There's a forested wetland over there, but it's not of size or significance that is a protected resource.
I mean, you don't want bird wading habitat.
So, Mr.
There's-
Chairman.
there's no water.
We're going, yeah, I
There's no
know.
fault. We're not here to debate this.
Otherwise, we'll get into migrating, not herons, there were some, cranes that came through the other day, and they looked like pterodactyl dinosaurs, so. But anyway, thank you, gentlemen, thank you again for the public session earlier.
But with the permits, could we be on the agenda next month to potentially look at an approval?
I put the request in, an agenda item.
Okay, well.
I don't want to attach the words approved.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
but we'll
obviously.
look at it, yeah.
Just thank you for the application. Site plan review.
Thank you very much for your time and for meeting with us today.
Thank you. I overlooked our, reading of the approval of the minutes of March 8th, our last Zoom meeting. And I think they're in your package. I'll move that we approve. I have a motion by McNeely to approve, seconded by Martin. Everybody looked at them, any questions? Like them as is? Call for a vote then, starting on my left, Mr. Lefferts.
Guess I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, I don't think that's a vote. Approve. Carries, 4 in favor, 1 abstention. The abstention, was Mr. Lefferts. I respect you for that.
I tried to get on. After 15 minutes, I said, there's something better on TV.
All right. Next, we'd like to recognize Teresa Waters.
That's me.
That be you?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So I'm Teresa Waters, president of Penobscot Island Air, and I brought with me Carson Porchane, who's president of the Flying Club. And the reason we're here tonight is to discuss a proposal to renovate the second floor of the Knox County Flying Club into 8 sleeping areas. And the reason we'd like to do that is to provide temporary housing for the Penobscot Island Air crew between the time that the existing crew house is demolished, which is scheduled for end of June roughly.
Depending permits next month.
Yeah, right, pending the permit, until the time of the pending new crew house is built. So what we're proposing is the second floor of the Flying Club, which is on the far side of the airport, is a large open area now used for sun storage. And what we'd like to do is insulate the roof. It's just a bare metal roof at this point. Insulate the roof, insulate the 4 walls. We'd have to do some renovations to one of the interior walls, which overlooks the hangar to make it compliant with the fire code. The other thing that we would need to do to be compliant with the 2 forms of egress is to put a second large window in upstairs. According to, I've talked to Frank Ross here in Owl's Head and also Mark VU at the State Fire Marshal's office. And they both explained that you need 2 forms of egress. So there's one existing stairway, which is fine as the first form of egress. You can use windows as the second form, second type of egress. And there are 3 walls that have windows in them, which are fine height-wise. You've got to be no more than 13 feet above the ground, but the windows themselves are not large enough to meet standard. So we'd need to put 1 large window in. The 1 large window would be the only thing that would look any different from the exterior of the building as you looked at it, as it is today. So basically, in terms of what we would be doing, and I think you all have diagrams, we'd be putting 2 walls down the center of the existing room, and then on each of those sides, we divide them into 4 sleeping areas. There's already electrical outlets there upstairs, so each of the 8 rooms would have an electrical outlet, so we wouldn't be running cords. We would put in a heat pump, and hopefully we're anticipating anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on how long construction would be. There's already a bathroom downstairs with a shower. There's a kitchen area and a living area. Carson, what did I forget?
I think that's pretty much it.
It's a gathering area though.
It's a gathering area downstairs, okay,
Public.
yeah. That's used as a classroom now mostly.
So nobody's living there now, but we'd like to do temporary housing for these pilots in the meantime.
Looks pretty straightforward to me.
Is the fire chief making you put in exit signs and fire alarms?
We would, carbon monoxide and fire detectors, yes, yeah,
An exit sign?
exit signs.
And would you come back or you're gonna file a formal building permit application with Scott?
Yes,
For both use and renovation.
So what are we approving if there's no site plan?
Temporary change of
Change,
use?
yeah,
Temporary change of use.
Probably ought to take them separately. Temporary change of use, which would go from what, full commercial to short-term rental or something?
It is a residential slash commercial use because they have commercial.
Right. So say that again?
It actually be a residential use because people are gonna be living in those.
Right, but we're going from a commercial space to a residential use on short term, so we're allowing that change to occur. As far as change of use.
Right.
And then you get into the question of fire safety and code, which should be used.
Right, correct. I've already had some conversations with these folks, so that's where they get that information from. They went and talked to the state fire marshal and so forth. My only question will be, and I haven't asked them, is, once you put all the pallets into the new residence area, what's gonna happen to these rooms? Are they gonna remain?
After the pilots leave, the flying club is gonna take the room back. It's basically, we've been looking for a good reason to finish off the upstairs for a long time, for either a meeting space or a classroom space, or basically just a multi-use, same commercial space. as
But-
just before.
Temporary partitions, I believe, was
yeah, that,
Yeah,
the idea for it, so it returned to an open space.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
temporary partitions, is what
Yeah, because where you've got these 7 foot width, you're almost like Coleman Tavern.
not really big rooms, yeah.
We stayed some of them in Canada. They
Well,
were pretty good, $25 a night.
I might explain it to you later. So anyway. Is there a motion?
I'll make a
on
motion that we
the change
change
of
the
use
use.
from commercial to
Commercial
short-term residential? I'll put that in there. Not to exceed, should we put a not to exceed on the residential?
That would be handy if we could do that.
Well, I'm just saying, I'd rather make one motion than two.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so what, to the end of the year? I
that
mean,
should be fine.
That way,
Yeah. Yep,
because like I say, getting building materials right now is pretty tough,
right,
so schedules are really screwed up,
yeah,
when you're trying to build something, so.
Can we do it for a year without getting ourselves into trouble?
I think you could, and if that requires a longer time, just come back and extend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sharing with you, and I'm not trying to hog the
No.
conversation, I'm just saying 6 months on any construction project right now.
yeah.
I mean, they're telling me, 12 weeks for just one part for my wife's
But-
floor.
I thought I read there that wasn't even gonna start construction until around the first week of June. I mean, that takes you to December.
Right.
Well, I guess, maybe some months, whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'd say, make it to
Bill,
the
can you,
end of the year.
once you pick a specific date, let's do that.
Do what?
Pick a specific date. December 1st, 2020.
December 31st,
You want December 21st?
2021.
Okay, that's less than just barely 6 months.
That's what I mean. I mean, well, if you want to go longer, I'd rather, but I mean, so they don't have to keep coming back.
We're talking a year before, right? Yeah. We'll just go another year from now.
June 1?
I'll make it a year then.
Okay, so the motion is to allow the change of use from commercial to a residential short-term to a specific date of June 1st, 2022.
Okay.
Is that clear enough? Let's say what we wanted to say?
I think it is. I'll second it if you need a second.
Here we do.
I don't know whose motion it was.
I'm just trying to move it along. All right, now we get a motion on that part. Any other discussion about the change of use? Seeing none, then I'll call for vote, starting on my left, Mr. Lefton.
Yes.
Affirmative.
Yes.
Affirmative.
Yes.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Passes unanimously. Next, we have the plan itself, correct? The construction in the building. Is that what we have? Scott?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
We have changed the use to allow it. And to give you the issue a building permit,
Renovations.
we're gonna have a renovation. What?
Do you have a footprint on that renovation? I thought you did.
There
This one,
is one.
this one?
Yeah.
That's your cubicles.
Pretty much.
Is this,
Your vision is gonna have walls on top. of it,
Correct,
like
correct.
behind you.
oh, yeah, good, okay.
He was teasing.
Okay,
So we're approving the plan as presented, is that what we're doing along with this application?
Are we approved it to go to residential use?
Right.
And it's gotta go to Scott for a building permit, and he's gotta approve the plan.
Right, but we're approving the application as presented to us, for him to do the final approval of plan.
Because it's on a commercial lot,
Oh, so that's the differentiator.
because of site plan review on a commercial lot, takes planning board.
We're just still gonna review the plans, make sure the fire safety is all on, it's taken care of.
I'm gonna carry some cigarettes with me.
And you're awful careful of the place.
I'm gonna throw them.
Has access, has alarms and access and everything else, a lot of people that come up with that.
So we need a motion to approve the plan as presented in the application. Application of plan, so.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
This is where we get to expel it out.
To make a motion that we approve the application for, that's before us on the renovations to the Flying Club. Builder, right, please.
Reconstruction, okay. Does that say it the way we want it said, Scott?
I think you should be tying a completion date of removal to go to.
Right, I was gonna get to that as we kind of expand, but basically we're trying to approve this.
That's fine.
And what you find so far is,
You're under the code.
okay, and then I think what we need is a motion just to make sure that when this is done, at the end of the temporary, it's on. Residential.
All the walls, I mean, I don't know, they
No,
said they want a
residential.
storage space up there, why would they have to take the walls down if they're not gonna use it as residential?
The residential.
Might want to use it for office rooms or whatever.
You know, so I mean, they could have certain, storage areas for, I don't know, like there was bicycles, and a bunch of junk up there to start with, so, it'd be nice to put that all in one room if it was my barn.
Let's start this way. We have a motion to accept the application as submitted to the plan. There's a second. And that's seconded by Martin. So now the discussion is whether the walls stay or not stay, or
I was gonna say, can we add, and subject to approval of the state fire marshal and our fire chief?
I think.
I have talked to both of them.
No, I don't doubt that you have, but we're approving some drawings that make no reference to life safety. And I just trying to protect the town.
I verbally got the okay from Mark Bigu that as long as we had 2 forms of egress, that was the first conversation.
No, I don't doubt it.
No. So
I'm not even,
what's your suggestion?
That we approve it.
Subject to approving, subject to,
formal approval by the fire department and the state fire marshal,
and any other necessary permits.
and then the other necessary permits, that's all.
Okay,
Is that in it?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Thank you.
So after the windows are put in, you want Frank Ross to go and inspect it, that's kind of what you're saying?
Well, everybody's gonna have to inspect it. You know,
Even
fire marshal.
we don't normally do an occupancy permit here in Owl's Head, but this would be sort of an occupancy inspection.
After the windows installed.
Yes, after
Okay.
everything is ready,
That's fine.
before somebody sleeps there.
Right, that's fine,
And the fire safety devices,
that's fine.
smoke
Yep.
detectors, and exit signs.
If I could speak to that, the rest of the Flying Club downstairs has all that stuff laid out. There's fire exit signs labeled on the doorways and fire extinguishers out and fire alarms.
Good,
So we'd be doing the same thing upstairs as we have downstairs, because we would need that, after everyone. gets
right, I'm
in.
glad to hear it.
So for Eleanor's edification, because sometimes we get kind of confusing going down the road, yes.
I might help you out with that certificate of occupancy. What you need is a building inspector for any town of 2,000 or more, you're less than that. You still need somebody certified as a building inspector. That's certified in building standards. Just so happens that I am, along with building codes, along with the international building code, the residential code, the existing code,
Sounds to me like you're on the page.
I am.
Yes.
I'll put that.
So if I can restate it, I think what we have is a motion before us to approve the application and plan is submitted, subject to submission or proof of evidence of inspection by fire marshals. They said all of the necessary codes for life safety, including or not including Scott's visitation. You okay with that, Ellen? So we in agreement, that's the motion? Yes, Dale? Any further discussion?
You want to include a termination date in that motion?
I think we got a termination date, there's different, we got a termination date on the previous use of it.
Okay.
So Bill, in favor, Ken,
Yes.
affirmative, Bill, affirmative. That passes unanimously. And I would say just for Mark, and I think we all heard it. There's a time limit on it, so don't let that lapse, because we'll all be back talking
Okay,
in a friendly way.
thank you very much.
And thank you for everything.
Thank
Thank you, Teresa, for what you and the clients have
Thank you. You're
done.
welcome.
You know what I mean by that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, final item on the agenda is discuss a land use ordinance change as submitted by Attorney Fred Newcomb. And I think all we have really before us is an email version that was circulating around. Is that correct? And I assume everybody has it and has had a chance to look at it. And I guess as far as discussion, tell me what, Bob?
Hey, as long as them lawyers are happy, I'm happy.
Seeing a question from the public?
You know, I keep listening to how to fit a square peg into a round hole, trying to have these special event businesses that are trying to not turn it into a full commercial and all of this. I guess my question to you, has anybody ever thought of doing like special use permits that are specifically for the project? That comes a temporary in nature when the project is ended or the people are no longer there to run it. It reverts back to the zoning that it was, and the zoning never changes, it just has a special use permit on top of it, just for that use, rather than trying to fit all of this somehow into this ordinance that, and we keep getting slippery slopes, so that's my only 2 cents worth.
Can't say I don't share your thoughts. Good.
I would like Scott's opinion about a special use permit.
Say what?
No, I was wondering what Scott thinks about a special use permit.
Well, in a lot of ways, we already do have some in the zoning law. I mean, you've got a table in there that tells you different uses. You do agriculture on a agricultural farm, it's got 15 acres, so that's a special. You can't do it just every place in town. You can do it whether you get 15 acres. You get home occupation, you get 2 types of home occupation. One requires a permit, one doesn't. So all of that falls right into the chat, I think, the tables. And you can call it several things, but you look at the table and you'll see rural residential where you can have just a single dwelling. You'll see rural residential where you can have 2 dwellings depending on lot size. So they're out of there.
But like the event center it doesn't really fit into that. We can try and make it fit, but every time we do that, then we slide a little bit further for what the ordinance, this would just be a temporary thing just for, and that's all I'm gonna say. I'm talking temporary, that'll revert back to the way things were
Well,
when it's all
technically, that would be
said and done.
contract zoning, which House Hit does not have, not ever adopt contract zoning. That's what Rockland does. And when they sell that spot zone, the person that moves away from it, it automatically, whatever it was zoned for at that time dissipates.
So what stops, I'm curious, what stops us from having something like that?
Well, you can, but you gotta go through the comprehensive plan, you get to adopt it into the zoning ordinance you have. There's some work behind it, but you could do it. You've got to have it in your zoning ordinance to legalize it.
Dick, you had a question?
I looked through this, and the last thing I wanna do is create any more problems. But when I look at this, it appears to me that what Fred has done on the table, on this second page, which he has actually added another resource protection, rural residential overlay zone, which will go on the end, goes on the end
I
here.
don't have that page.
Huh?
I generally don't have that page.
Maybe you have different ones.
It's all that was given.
It's on the back, it was double sided.
What?
So,
24-1-KB.
yours is different than mine. You're on page 2, though, right?
I have page 2, right, yes.
That's on the back side.
On the back
I don't
side.
think Bill's copies got the back side copy.
I generally didn't copy on the back side.
Mine did. So he's trying to add a whole different zone, and I wish Fred was here because I'd like to talk to him about it, but, so what he's doing, Bill, is putting another column in on our rural residential. This would be all the way down, all what you can do and who has to approve it. And he wanted to put another one in just for that. And then he wanted to restrict it just to certain lots on tax map 8. And I don't see why we have to do that, because he said the reason to do that was to restrict other people from doing the same thing. But if you already have a 15-acre restriction, 5 acres, it must have been used for agricultural activities, and gross farm income, and, it's done within the last 5 years. I think there's not too many places in town that are gonna meet that thing, and it certainly is gonna apply to them. They'll get to do what they want. It's got restrictions back in here that we originally had in it on what you can do there. But I don't understand why we have to have a whole new zone.
Don't look at me, I didn't write it.
When he did up his scheme there on that page 2, some things were left off, like in the section on land use across the middle, he left out R1 and R2, and it's got overlay in there. Does the overlay belong there or not? I'm confused. It messes it up for everything. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to approve it the way it is, but I think it's going to be messed up later on when somebody looks at it. But I want to see the Woodmans get what they want. It's really good other than that. I think, as far as I'm concerned, it covers everything. But I don't see why we have to have a whole new zone to do that. We could have done it just the way some of the things were before, under overlay as it stands. But,
I think it's part of everybody's question, trying to find a way to make it work, but every time we do, we go down a rabbit hole that doesn't seem to fit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got questions on this draft that Fred sent out. There's those that agree with Fred and those that disagree. That's not, that's really for us to decide, and then the people to decide at a town meeting.
Right.
We're trying to figure something that we can all feel good, I think, sending forward, if I understand correctly. And I'd like to hear from some others. I mean, I can look on and I don't understand English any better than the rest of you, but say agricultural events and rentals. There's no, I don't get the rental and the agriculture together. Somebody got to find out what the rental event is all about into the ordinance, if that's what we're gonna do here. But I mean, we can work on it.
there's a definition at the end that talks about this.
Right.
We should have Fred here.
Well, I hate to see this drawn out forever, but it would not be.
Could he not make it this evening?
And
Could he not make it this evening? To be honest, I don't think anybody's invited him because we had already put in
3,500.
So anyway, yeah, we have to,
We've gone way over budget, yep, for lawyer fees.
Sorry,
I don't want you guys to figure this out amongst
Pardon?
yourself.
I think that's what Fred wants us to do,
I think that's what the selectmen want also.
that's fine.
So Dick,
Right.
this chart, as Scott just mentioned, is key to the whole thing. So 3.3 land uses. So the agricultural events only is based by agricultural events and rentals.
Yeah.
And then when you come over here, you'll see what an agricultural
Yeah.
rental is.
Yeah.
And Fred has carefully written this, so they are able to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
so then it's not allowed in rural residential 1 and 2. He says no, but it's allowed in rural residential 1 with an overlay. And would it need planning board approval of the CEO? What is that? Right?
Well,
That's right.
where that property is in rural residential 1. It's not in rural residential 2. If you remember, rural residential 2 is in the center here.
Yeah.
And then down, towards, the state park, down at the Dutch Point. So that would restrict where somebody could do this.
So they can do it in rural residential, it's allowed in rural residential 1 with overlay, whatever that means.
Yeah, well, that's, it's defined in there.
Is it defined in the, zoning map H22? You know, Bill?
What's that?
The word overlay in our regular zoning, does it exist?
I don't think it was in there. I think this is something new.
Well, that's kind of the question we're trying to.
Yes, that's why I think he put that other box in.
They
If
put
we
down the
go
box.
down through, if
Right.
there's something else comes up in the future for an overlay, that would be another box you could check, or you could just put no on everything all the way down through, other than this one zone that says yes, planning board or CEO approval.
Okay, go to page 12 in the, zoning ordinance. And near the center of the page, number C, rural residential overlay zone. That's a definition of it.
Oh, there it is. So what were you, then I don't understand what you were questioning.
Well, what he has done, he has taken, and changed the meaning of it. He wants, no. If he wants to change that, and, delete that one, and put in rural residential overlay zone, is allowed certain, carefully structured and regulated events. Uses for appropriate, supported and appropriate, with agricultural use, so that would eliminate some of the problem, but like I say, he wants to restrict it to just one area in town. And, that's, I don't know how much different that is than what he said that you couldn't do up here. It says single lot designation. You know, impermissible is spot zoning. Well, basically, all these others are smaller lots, you couldn't do it anyway. But if you think that's the way to get around it, that's fine, but I think you'll find that it's gonna also change the land use table. But I just wanna let you know that the land use tables will be changed.
Or anything that's over 15 acres.
That's,
You know what I mean?
that's in there already.
Because, you know, where it's written up on the original, 15 acres or more.
Yeah.
So any of these items down through here, you're gonna have to, they don't have 15 acres, they wouldn't qualify anyway.
Right.
So I think, I mean, it looks like we already have a overlay zone in our ordinance. It's just not listed over here because we've never used it. But I think that's why Fred has wrote it in there.
That chart is right in our current land use ordinance. We do have agricultural fence, planning board and CEO number 5. Except I think what he's done is change number 5, I think, of what it says, and I don't have that change. And I was looking on page 13 for that thing.
So, I'm sorry.
It's right under the agricultural and horticultural uses and sale. And they started down, which is agricultural events. He's kept the planning board / CEO number 5, which is what he's got on his paperwork. We've already got in our existing ordinance. But that number 5 changes. But my number 5 that refers to says the proposed location is not undesirable for the proposed use. I don't think that's what it means at all.
Ken?
Is a step, do we vote before or after the public hearing?
After.
After, so the steps are, we call for public hearing. I'm just saying, between now and the public hearing, it would seem to behoove us, that the town should let us clarify these things. Right? I think Dick's got some good points. I'm not a lawyer. We don't want to make a mistake here. I'm not saying we hold up the process. Schedule a public hearing, get permission to talk to Fred for an hour. I mean, you know, if we've already spent $3,500, let's not waste it, not get this right. And then get Fred's opinion, corrections, this and that, have a public hearing, then we vote on it, then it goes to the top. Am I saying anything incorrectly?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that I'm confused as what we're sending forward to even get to the selectmen for public hearing.
Right, because the selectmen don't need our approval to have a public hearing. We could all say we're not in favor of it, or we're all in favor of it, but it's still gonna go to the voters.
Wait, I think
We're just telling the selectmen to get a public hearing going.
selectmen say, we're the ones who get the.
Oh, I know, they keep passing it back and forth, they don't want to deal with it, I sit through that selectmen's meeting.
The following though is, I mean, Fred, just to be clear, I mean, let's not screw this up here. And Fred, I'm not sure where we are with scheduling a public hearing. He talks about it, he tells us what needs to be done. The following notices of the planning board public hearing must be given. And he tells you what to do, first class mailing, 13 days before the hearing, posting in the town office. So we've got to follow these things to the T. And I think, my understanding is that we have to follow, we set up the public hearing.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we set up a public hearing, the date to be determined by Eleanor, and whatever it has to be, far as the 13 days that you need, which will, you know, fit that schedule.
Before your next meeting,
I don't know,
13 days before what?
the public hearing, you have to, everything has to be notified 13 days. So I mean, somebody's got
Before
to
the
pick a
hearing,
date,
before the hearing.
building is open or something.
The notices have to go out.
Yes, I understand that, but what am I putting 13 days on?
I guess
is
I'm
it
with
for the
Ellen,
next
I'm not
public
sure what we're advancing to a public hearing is.
I understand that I have to use 13 days.
Just be considered.
But we don't have something definite yet to be considered. Dick's got questions, you've got questions, Kenneth, I'm not sure what we're sending forward for public hearing. Are we gonna craft it at a public hearing?
So May 10th would be your use this
Right.
another, so I would do 13 days prior to that day. And then the 10th, you guys could have your public hearing.
If it was gonna be on May 10th.
Ain't gonna work. That's not enough time. You gotta notify everybody, the notifications prior to that, and you gotta have the language that you want to do for the public hearing to be looked at.
Right.
That's my, I don't see we have public language yet.
You could use this one to go forward with, but just I would remove this, the really, the two heavy line things in here, recommendations and, the thing about spot zoning. And just go forward with it, and if there's any questions come up at the public hearing, somebody could talk to Fred and get some clarification, you or somebody on the board, and just use this so that you can go forward.
Otherwise, we're gonna use Fred twice.
Because
Use
Fred
him
would have-
before the public hearing, and then we're gonna use him again after the public hearing. So if we use him after, instead of, just get the public hearing out of the way, get all the questions that people have, and then contact Fred, instead of contacting him first, and then again after the public hearing.
Is Fred moderating the public hearing, all right?
No.
No,
He doesn't.
he's doing only the town meeting,
Oh,
special
okay.
town meeting.
We're gonna have it here. I just don't know what
Well,
we're recommending.
I know what Dick's talking about, I've seen it, and I think I agree with him. The only thing that is still left gray in my mind is what else is in the zoning ordinance that would conflict with what that is? Is there anything else? We concentrate on what I should say, and I'm inclined to agree with what Dick is talking about.
Yeah.
But we wanna make sure there's not something else that conflicts with it. That means looking at the ordinance. That means homework, looking at your ordinance, making sure there's nothing else that would trip it up.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking at, Scott, is agricultural events, all we've done is add rentals.
Right. I mean, because
Which
that was
is
part of
a whole
our
different
existing ordinance.
That should be other by itself, I would think,
The original agricultural that we did with, when the Johnsons had it. The vineyard and stuff was, they were allowed to do certain things, and now we're just adding.
and that's what got us in trouble
Events.
15 years ago.
It flew pretty well for 15 years.
Yeah.
And they threw in some line, and it made it work out.
We had to clean up the streets. Mark, you've been kind of quiet on us.
I personally think if it's gotta go to a vote of the town, then somehow or other, a public hearing needs to be scheduled, either by us or by the selectmen. And I don't know the correct procedure in that, but I think we ought to move on the question.
So I think it's clear that the selectmen have determined that we're the ones to call a public hearing. And they've said it time and time again.
So we should call it.
So we should, I agree, I think we should schedule a public hearing. Okay, and I'm not arguing about that one iota, and I think we should do it. But Russ is saying, in these notices that Ellen is gonna send out, we gotta send out the ordinance. So people gotta read it and see what they're gonna come to talk about. The question is, are we sending them this unchanged? Or are we allowed to talk to Fred before we send it out to clarify what he asked? Or do we and I wouldn't want to change something after the public hearing, that's gotta be a bad mistake. Or at the public hearing, I mean, we gotta come to the planning board and say, okay. I'm sorry, we gotta come to the public hearing and say, here's what the planning board is prepared to approve, and we wanna present it to you, and the Woodlands are gonna present their case, and blah, 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 and then your warrant will get ready.
And we're all nervous about legal expense to get this done, but that's part of the cost of getting it done. I guess the other question is, does anybody want Maine Municipal to weigh in on it, or write it? That's free.
I can't do that anymore. We can't do that because we've already involved Fred.
And if Fred gives consent. I mean, the word back to me was they would not oppose Fred's opinion. That was 60 days ago on another issue.
So it seems to me we're down to two questions of Fred. Okay, this isn't a dispute with the Woodlands. This is, can we eliminate option 1 and option 2 as Dick Carver suggests?
Right.
Or do we, but I personally would like to know, I agree, it seems superfluous. Why did Fred put it there? Is my one question. And 2 is Scott seems to have some question about what the wording mean in the box. You know, the out, right, how it gets interpreted.
Well, I think that number 5 that he's referring to, I can't believe he's referring to what we already have in the ordinance. If he is, why bother to put it up?
That's what I mean. Okay. So there's 2 things that might be clarified. So it seems to me that's an easy problem, Fred. We don't have to, and we get our answer, we go ahead.
Well, yeah, but then you get your answer, then what? I mean, without us getting back together, I'm not gonna take it upon myself to recraft what Fred says. I don't think any of us.
What if we approve it, subject to Fred's approval of these last 2 items? And pick a date for the public hearing.
That's kind of risky.
No,
I mean, I'm just talking business.
No, I agree.
You know, that's not.
I'm not suggesting we take it.
The other way to do it is to have Fred weigh in on it, call a special meeting specifically for his final recommendation.
The other thing you can do is have your regular meeting, and then the next day have the public hearing.
Yes.
Say that one again?
Have your next month's meeting on schedule.
May 10th.
Make a decision that night with Fred's recommendation or as is.
Yes, good idea.
And then the next night, have your public hearing.
Does the ordinance says we're recrafting it have to be part of that public notice?
And are you gonna be notifying everybody in town as Fred said it had to be, which I've never seen happen?
We're done with.
Which is now gonna cost another $300 or $400. For postage.
Because the reason for that is a zoning ordinance change, which, by other towns, they change often, but they've never notified anybody that way by letter. Every person, if they do, put it in paper. And when it comes vote time, voters have it in front of them to look at what they're reading to vote on.
So here's the town council. I mean, I employed lots of lawyers. He told us what his opinion is.
Yeah.
Why do we want to take it upon ourselves the risk of going against his opinion?
You've got to keep in mind that you have to arrange for that to happen also, those mailings.
Okay, so let's just leave more time. You can send, you give out, let Eleanor tell us how much time she needs to mail to the whole town. Or to the people Fred designated. Oh, sure. We can get the people.
Are we setting a public hearing before talking to Fred or after talking?
We're setting a public hearing today, as far as
Okay.
I think. Is there an agreement? It's sometime after May 10th is the public hearing.
Okay, but without Fred, somebody cleaning this up, what are we proposing?
What are we mailing, as you say?
Yeah. So what's option 2 says lots 26, 27, 28. -1, 42, and all those.
Et cetera, yeah.
So if you eliminate that, option one really pretty much describes exactly where it's going. I don't know why he put in option 2.
Bill, by Mason, Mr. Chair. That would be what's known as spot zoning, but you're only allowing that one person to do that. That's why he's eliminating that. He made a mistake in his initial writing this up, then he realized that he put in spot zoning, by just having it to one spot.
So all these other lots qualify.
All these other lots qualify, and like I was saying, most of them, none of them are the right size. But, you know,
But Dick, maybe what it is by listing them, it stops it from being spot zoning.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't say tax map 8, lot 42, he says, don't do that, that's spot zoning. Do either option 1 or option 2. But you gotta do one or the other.
and I think what he's doing on option 2, he's listing all the rural residential lots in, map 8. You see what I mean? He's, that, well, no, he isn't listing all, but he's listed the, I don't know why he's got it second.
But none of them lots are over 15 acres, are
Right, and I don't know why he's got the except for that, you know what I mean?
But you can't send out an ordinance that says it's center. I mean, I don't know what, I mean, to me, what's the matter with option 1? That pretty much nails it.
they? That's spot zoning, isn't it?
No, but not according to Fred.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
No. He says, he calls option 1 a recommended alternative description.
I think it's still spot zoning with just a different label on it.
Option 2 is what his recommendation is. Option 1 is the single lot designation, raising the possibility of spot zoning.
Okay, so I see, so.
Yeah, and that's what he wrote that in, this is an initial thing, and then he added the options and the recommendation for an alternative. Because he realized that that's spot zoning.
He recommended option 2.
Right. he
One is
recommended
really
option
spot
2,
zoning.
right.
That's what I said.
Okay, all right, I stand corrected, okay, good.
That's,
So maybe we just eliminate option 1 and go with everything, and stay with option 2.
Yeah, we gotta write in the rest of the lots. You can't have et cetera there.
I think it's everything on tax map 8. I think that's the way he's describing it. It's not very clear. I agree with this is et cetera.
This is when I wrote an email to the selectmen, and the selectmen said, I wrote that Ken and Russ feel the need that Fred needs to be handling the proposed event center ordinance for the town, that he should be the one to send it to the Woodman's attorney.
Right.
And then let their attorney say whether or not this is good. Linda says, I don't agree. They have a copy, they can send it along to their attorney. No sense to pay Fred any more than we have to.
Yep.
That was in an email I got.
And I think part of the issue there was right now we have a document that's a privileged communication between us. It's not we broadcast, we're just now discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
So to pass it to the Woodmans through our attorney or something was not something that I was comfortable with. You got a question?
And our attorney has not received an email, so.
Well, that's lost stuff.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a better way.
I mean, literally, somebody hired Fred to represent the town to present something, until we all got, they really talking about it. I don't need to be reading about it in the paper or another attorney or anywhere else, because we may toss this all out, come up with our own plan. We already have questions about what Fred drafted. Question is, how do we get there? And I'm nervous about just having a date for Eleanor to spend another $300 or $400 to have a meeting that we're not solidified on how we're going to advance it without other changes.
So what about this first thought, okay? We tell the selectmen, look, we're trying to do the right thing here, but we need a little legal help. and help us here with this, so we don't screw it up. It is a change to the town, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. But I'm not saying put this off another month, maybe the answer is, it's still, we get some advice from Fred and hold a special meeting of the planning board. Is that an option? That just me thinking aloud.
Again, special meeting, that, on this, it's not gonna be that. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have a special meeting, we have it, but I want more direction and cut out all the options we're not gonna take. And focus on what we can do with this option that should be able to work. But take me out of why we already have part of it in one place, what Scott's question is about the language, and give us a concrete proposal to advance forward. If you all want to try to get Fred to give us some advice on that and plan on meeting in a week or 10 days, I'm okay with that, pick a date. And let's hope he can move. Let's hope he can respond or not, but I mean, and if not, then I'm gonna suggest that he give us written authority to consult with Maine Municipal or somebody, so we don't keep running up legal bills. The only other way to go at it is to go down to Portland, which will cost us more than.
So I believe the selectmen have clearly indicated their intention is to get this thing passed. So if we say, and we all seem to be saying the same thing. If we say to the selectmen here, you're paying off all this money to be on your planning board. We need to spend some more time with our lawyer to get this right. Okay? And let the selectmen say, let them say no to that. If that's, I can't imagine they're going to. We're not broke.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get all the money from the federal government before.
I mean, now that Fred has written what he has written, maybe we could take this, what we have for the ordinance to MMA and eliminate.
That's
Fred's
kind of what
already
I'm
done his
suggesting.
part.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Maybe we
If Fred
could step
says
into
we don't.
MMA,
Right.
because I know the selectmen do not want to give him any more on this subject.
Okay, well, that's clear. All right, I got that. So then maybe that's an option. I'm not, well, being.
I mean, because Fred's done what his opinion is, everything's in that paper. So now we take that to MMA and see what they
Selectmen better
suggest.
find another moderator.
When's the next election meeting?
Next Monday.
The 20th, Tuesday. Monday's a holiday.
What if I go to them and ask if it's okay if we do go, and bypass Fred and be done with it? And the selectmen have also authorized that. Here.
MMA, is that something they do?
It's Maine Municipal,
Are they like 6 months out,
Oh, no.
or is that done in a week?
no,
No, just so you know, when I call them, they've gotten back generally the same day.
Okay.
Only when I called them before on this particular matter, they said, we're not gonna go against your town's attorney. And Eleanor heard the same thing. And I'm not asking them to go against what Fred has done.
Fred's and theirs, and put it in a bowl and try to figure out what's best for.
no, we
I'm
just
just
want to
saying,
eliminate Fred
We're trying to
now.
limit,
And
You already have Fred's written down what he thinks.
Right.
So to go back to Fred, he's already said, I already showed you what I want.
Right.
No.
Municipal's gonna look at what Fred wrote.
what I'm seeing is Fred wrote something that we have questions about.
Okay.
I'm willing to bet you're gonna have questions because you haven't seen it either. I'd rather have something that makes sense going forward that somebody else can look at and put it in the legalese, as my brother Ken says, that doesn't cost us anything to get. The only way I can get that from Maine Municipal is to have Fred say, I don't care, go there, you have my blessings, Charlie. And have the selectmen say, fine, as long as you're not running up my legal bill, go for it, get the best advice you can because we're representing the town. And that, if I get that consent Monday or whatever day it is, a phone call to Maine Municipal, put them with this stuff, and I would anticipate 48 hours, I'd have some response of, no, you're barking up the wrong tree, you're in a rabbit hole that's causing more problems. Don't go this way, clean this up, answer Scott's question.
So they're basically gonna start from scratch.
Huh?
They're not gonna review Fred's stuff.
No, they're looking at it and say, how do we clean this, how do we sort this out and try to find a way to make that work with our ordinances that are there. Doesn't cost, we've already paid the legal bill there, so we get that.
That's done. he's eliminated. So we wouldn't
Now-
be basically stepping on his toes. They did not want to get involved
Okay.
in basically,
And they may have some town somewhere there's already an ordinance set up that we don't know about yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
And that's-
good investment.
Huh?
That's a good investment.
Right. You know,
As long as.
it'll probably take us another 10 days to pick a date to come back. Because I can tell them Tuesday or whatever day it is, I have a special board meeting scheduled for Thursday. Give me an answer, give me some direction.
Well, that's it.
Or say, time out, we can't do it that quick, we need a week, at least get some answers done. Because we can spin around here with our own thoughts all night long. And I respect what everybody's saying, I just don't know. I'm trying to wear the hat that whatever we do is gonna affect Owl's Head. And I don't want people pointing fingers saying, you got special treatment, somebody else did spot zoning, no, whatever. Am I making any sense?
Yeah. Sadly.
Sadly, I know that. Mark and I have been through this before, it's just much earlier, we used to do this at midnight, didn't
A smoky room.
That was early some nights.
we? So if I'm hearing correctly, because we're not really gonna take a vote, I'm just looking for consensus, because I don't want to take action that wasn't. What we're looking for, and what you authorized me to do, is to go to the next town the selectmen's meeting. And if for some reason I'm laid up somewhere, then are you okay if Ken goes, or you want Bill to go? I want an alternate.
Which the selectmen's meeting?
Yeah.
I'm already going.
All right, so Ken would be my alternate, if I can't be there to present it. And what we're asking the selectmen is their permission to go to, Maine Municipal
we don't need
Association.
their permission, we can already go to them.
I know that, but I wanna be able to tell them we're bypassing Fred and have them say, it's okay to bypass Fred. We love him to pieces, but he's been overworked.
I just read that email that said that.
Huh?
I just read you an email that basically said that from
Okay,
some of the select.
and from Fred's perspective, I have no problem calling 594-5178. For those of you that don't have your number out there, and ask him if it's okay if we start using Maine Municipal to craft what we need now. If he says yes, then Maine Municipal buys in, and if we show the cards to the selectmen on board, and there's a consensus we are, then that takes care of any concern they have.
What if he says no?
Makes sense.
Huh?
What do we do if he says no?
Well, that's why we're gonna come back real quick.
I don't,
And we're gonna come back, if everybody says no, I don't know what the heck.
I don't believe it.
I don't, well, Fred won't say no.
Okay. Well, then, just asking, why didn't we take this route first? Did we just want to try to use our own attorney?
Say that again?
Why didn't we go with the MMA first? Just because, I mean, we got one
Because,
bad Fred.
just for the record, from my perspective, we couldn't get the answer there to begin with, because Fred had already created a dialogue. And they said, whatever Fred is, we're not going against your town attorney. So all of a sudden, the home rule had already taken precedence, even though we didn't know. Eleanor and I were trying to find a way, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, to get this thing moving forward without spending money. I mean, you've got money invested in this, we got $3,000 or $4,000 tied up in this, facing another $1,000 by the time we mail or anything else. And we still aren't any further ahead than we were a year ago.
And I can find out from MMA also if we really need to send to the entire town.
Well, I think that's a good question to answer.
I think the question, I will work with you on, don't take this when I say, you will work, we're buddies. So before either one of us approach Maine Municipal, I'd rather have the consent first, and then if you want to make the presentation, I don't care, but I don't want to have two hits on those guys up
I
here.
think Susan, and I can talk to her, but I think she would be good talking with them.
But how do we get Scott's question answered about the Wayward Health? The Maine Municipal is gonna help you with that. I mean, the Wayward Five, I mean.
They'll tell you what would fit in its place.
Okay, fine, okay.
Which means we're gonna be changing the ordinance anyway to incorporate that other word. So at the same time, we would fix number 5, assuming they'll spot that number 5, because we're gonna look at our ordinance. And we should also ask them to look for any conflicts. We should ask them, does everybody in town have to be notified by mail? And we'll ask them, what is the actual days of notice? Because we have to play around with Courier Gazette's time frame.
You're speaking up for the record, so Eleanor can get those questions. You got it.
We already know the timeframe.
I know, I just want to.
We did before. We had it all figured out, but we were 1 day short. Day late, dollar short.
The humor to me says, what a difference a day makes, you know, I mean, it's like light. Too bad. So I've got, the select board meeting on the 20th, is that correct?
That's what it says.
And our next meeting isn't until
May 10th.
May, that was my father's birthday. Assuming that I can get consensus from the two parties we're looking for, then when you want to meet, the last week of April, pick a day. You want to meet on the Monday, the 26th? You want to do the 28th? When you bowl?
Okay. We'll go out.
When you bowl?
Bowl?
I thought.
I've been bowled in 20 years.
Damn, with that tennis.
Somebody had tennis and somebody was bowling, at the Elks. That's why we couldn't be at the
On Wednesday, I don't get down until
That's really an option.
Just pick a day.
Pick Monday, pick Monday.
April
Monday the
26th.
26th?
April 26th.
April
Well, if
26th.
we got enough, we have 10 days, don't we?
That's just for you guys to figure it.
That's 10 days from today, business wise, so if we post that,
We're not having a public hearing for the 26th.
we can't have a planning board meeting that we're gonna take action on without a 10-day notice, right? I don't wanna get tripped up on that one.
So if you guys meet with a special meeting on the 26th, you go 10 days from that day for a public hearing.
Forget, I'm trying to get us in here as quick as I can legally with notice. So how many days do we have to give? 10-day notice or 14?
I tried for 14 because of my time frame, but 10 days is all you have.
All right, so does the day count as a day or do we start counting tomorrow?
Today was 1 day for you have to have it in by 4 o'clock Friday afternoon.
All right, so
Monday
13,
afternoon.
14, 15, 16, there's 4 days. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it still takes us, if I'm counting the calendar right, it takes us 26. 10 days.
And the 19th is a holiday.
All right, then what's the holiday?
27th.
We'll do it on the 27th, because there's an ordinance committee meeting on the 26th.
What time's that?
So you'll already be here.
It's actually at 4, and over at 5:30.
You want to do 6 o'clock?
Not on the 26th. I'm saying on the 27th.
I'll already be here too.
27th, all right, man.
I'll say, you're not bowling, whatever it is.
I'll see my name.
All right. So if I just pencil in here, planning board special, Eleanor, for the 26th,
7th.
7th, I'm sorry, it's Wednesday.
No, it's a Tuesday.
No, he's just kidding now.
I'm kidding you. I've got the 27th, which is a Tuesday, which makes the 10 days, counting the holiday and everything, so we're all okay with that. And we say 6 p.m.
Not that it matters, but I'll be working, not here.
Okay, when are you undone working?
I'm working Tuesdays and Thursdays till 6:30.
Oh, wait,
Mondays and Wednesdays is until 5 o'clock.
okay.
Fridays, 5 o'clock. But I'm here Fridays.
The only action I would see is either we're accepting or not accepting or reporting back on what Maine Municipal has, and if we got something, we're pushing the button for the public meeting.
All you really need is a key man.
Huh?
All you need is somebody to get you in and to do that. I mean,
I got one question, Russ.
Yes.
You have your meeting on the 27th. How many days before your next monthly meeting?
Next month's meeting will be the 10th. So it'll be
That
basically
would
14
give us
days,
just
15
about
days.
enough time to advertise for June 1st. Special town meeting.
The special, and the public hearing too has to be able to.
Right. I think that's what he's saying.
Well.
See, on the 27th, you'd have to set a public hearing for within, what, 13 days
13
of
days.
that day that
Correct.
we advertise. So, and I can't advertise until that following Monday,
Correct.
which is the 3rd. So you count 13 days out from the 3rd,
16.
and that's a Sunday, so you go the 17th, which is a Monday. Not gonna give us enough time to get in on June 1st. Not with all the advertisements. I have to have them by 4 o'clock Monday afternoon in order for them to be in the paper.
I get that.
So we need to push it up.
That's if it's gonna go to the June meeting, right?
Right. So actually, you would have to have it before the 26th. The selectmen meet the 20th. The selectmen meet the 20th.
The 20th.
They're here at 4. You could be here at 6.
Well, no, I get that. That takes care of the 20th. At that point, I also, prior to or after somewhere, we have to have Fred's consent so that we know.
We have now, between now and the,
I know that, but I'm trying to get them simultaneous. Okay, I'll buy into that. And then you have to have your feedback from Maine Municipal, so the only day that that's really gonna sequence out is the 23rd. If we,
I didn't plan on I wouldn't plan on asking the selectmen at their meeting. I would email them and ask if it's okay with MMA, to go with MMA. Instead of waiting for them.
I have a problem doing email polling. I don't think that's appropriate to do email polling. You're asking the board to do a vote by email at that point.
No, not us, the selectmen.
I understand that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But as far as the selectmen have said, it's on you guys from here on out.
I think it ought to be by public vote.
I think it's gotta be, I want them on record. I don't want to be going down this thing all alone. So I get, my feeling is we have to be there on the 20th to get their approval, do all that. Assuming the next day that MMA picks up the phone and goes forward, you're cutting it close to say we're gonna have it on the 22nd or the 23rd. That's why I'm trying to get our meeting back over to the 26th. And right now, we can't call a meeting for the 23rd for the planning board anyway. The earliest we're gonna do a planning board meeting, I think, is the 27th. The rest of the calendar falls in and we don't control. Am I right?
We have to advertise for whatever you're gonna have for the special
For the special
planning
meeting.
board. How many days is that?
10 days.
Right?
That's what got us to the 27th. That's what's killing us getting to the 27th. So if we vote to approve a public hearing by action of the board on the 27th, you're telling me that now you need to start doing the rest of them, and we do. That starts another.
Which I can't do until May 3rd.
Correct, and that gets you to a point that no matter how I work the right to know and whatever, that we ever get to June. Ain't gonna happen. Either that or we pass this the way it is, we got an incomplete issue.
And ask for the special selectmen's meeting, to review this.
Say what?
Have the selectmen come in the office here, just look it over, see it, to give
The
your opinion.
selectmen have this copy.
No.
Oh.
Have them look over what you want, about MMA. Give your approval. You want.
From my school board days and anything else that I've dealt with the public, I'm not inclined to ask people to come in off the street from work and sign off on doing something that's as important as this. They've got to have that from and know why. That's called the public vote.
I'm talking about the selectmen.
I am too. I'm talking the selectmen. I don't expect the selectmen to take time out and just come in and take a vote or concur to do it, because once again, they're meeting and concurring without public notice.
No, they would have to take a public notice, but they do this all the time.
Well, I don't agree with that.
We have a problem though, because Gordon's on vacation until May 1st, I believe.
I gotta laugh. So two of them could vote
Right,
anyway.
two of them can approve it. What you gotta do is have them stop by your office for 5 minutes after your public notice. They can approve
As
you.
long as it's not on a Tuesday,
No, either.
when you place cards on Tuesdays.
Now we're getting,
I'm just kidding.
now we're getting into TMI.
I agree with you.
Where are we going?
So just to throw something else out there, okay? Just to see if I can screw it up. What? If I could just ask another question. What about Fred's concerns about having this hot button on the same special town meeting as the interlocal agreement? Fred spoke eloquently about that, but are we, I'm not saying, he wasn't legal.
Putting this issue on the special meeting, the June meeting,
Yeah,
I felt he was opposed to that, and it ought to be at the August meeting because it was gonna be more public without two controversial items.
yes, okay.
But that's his decision, I'm gonna work with Calvin,
So that was his opinion, and we just,
in general, right?
I agree, it was just his opinion.
It's an ordinance change, that's why you're looking at it that way.
So you're saying you'd like to have, was it the airport's coming up on June first? You'd rather not have both of them at the same?
I can't speak for Fred, I'm only speaking conversation back and forth. I think there was concern there, and there was concern also that anytime you modify zones by the language that we're talking about, then all the public that voted in the comprehensive plan, the zoning ordinance and everything else should have that opportunity.
When is the August meeting scheduled for?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was one.
Early August, it's
No.
up.
Yeah, that's usually the first pass though.
If you guys said you were okay with the August meeting, no, really, that would end all this misery we're in here now, because,
We are all set with the August meeting.
well, okay.
We just wanna do it right. If it means Fred doesn't want two different competing things at the same one, we sound like we're splitting hairs over a day here, we're gonna miss another hour. We've already done this once, it didn't get in the paper, we missed it by a day because of a holiday, yada, yada, yada.
But if the ducks can be in its row by July.
Yes.
So I
So
think,
we're not pushing another year because the mortgage is.
Yeah, we just gotta,
so I think that's really fair for them to censor that. And we are trying now, but now we can forget trying to get to June first. Let's go about our ordinary business and make it happen for the August regular meeting, make Fred happy, make it more legal, and let's get this right.
Do I understand correctly that we have a special meeting?
No, we don't even need discussion.
Planning board done?
No, good time. Let's have our May 10th meeting. Get everything answered by the MMA, not much. Meet on May 10th. Boom, get our answers, Fred, this, that, and everything else. Then call a special town meeting. Now it's the end of May. I mean, a public hearing. And have that on the 1st of June. Or, maybe after the interlocal rhubarb. And then, boom, we go nice.
Just everyone be here and ready in July, so we can do this.
we
in
probably
August.
won't be, we'd all be doing stuff a little early in July, once we set up.
Right,
I think that's a good
I
solution.
think that makes more sense, all right. So no special meeting between now and Monday. You and I will be at the selectmen's meeting.
Yes, Tuesday.
Whatever day it is.
Tuesday.
It's a half moon day.
And then after that, we contact MMA.
With Fred's blessing.
Yes, and over there, all the ducks in a row, and on May 10th,
And I will try to call Fred,
we end this
594-5178, between now and the selectmen's meeting, say he doesn't care.
Okay.
Then actually put a smile on everybody's face, and then it's all out in the open. Is that okay?
July will be exactly 1 year.
I wish I had my granddaughter was getting married, I'd come see him.
I was trying to avoid having a meeting on my wife's birthday. That's a holiday, he said we could do it on the 26th.
No, 19.
Oh, okay. That was my girlfriend.
All right.
All right, everything recorded, Russ.
Would it be inappropriate? to
Any,
make a motion to
any other
adjourn?
business come before? Seeing none, then I'll declare the meeting adjourned at 7:29.
Thank you, all right.
Thank you.
No,
We're not anymore.
we're not here to.
Regularly.